Who are the First Response Disaster Team? What is the Green Volusia Initiative? How can you beat the heat during the sweltering Florida summer season? And why must you always prepare to drive safe during the severe weather, even though the day's forecast calls for sunny skies? Hi, I'm Amber Patterson, and welcome to Volusia Magazine. We will have answers to those questions and more coming right up on Volusia Magazine, so I hope you stay tuned. Fortunately, most Volusia residents never get to see the county's jail operation that's tucked away off of US 92 west of Daytona Beach. But the housing of inmates is a major responsibility of county government. With an inmate population that averages more than 1,500 a day, the county's corrections budget exceeds $34 million annually. And this cost is paid through the county's general government budget, which is funded with property taxes collected from Volusia's property owners. Food service alone is $1.6 million in expenditures. The Volusia County Council recently approved a contract with Aramark Correctional Services, a subsidiary of the huge parent company based in Philadelphia. With the contract comes the responsibility for providing 4,800 meals a day to inmates and staff at the county's jail and correctional institution. Corrections Director Marilyn Chandler Ford said the county provides nutritionally balanced meals that must meet health and inmate housing standards in the most cost-efficient manner.
Surprisingly, just as each of us have seen our own grocery bills increase, we were expecting, we just went out for a contract renewal, an increase in food service prices. That didn't happen. The per meal cost didn't go up as much as we think. We're making meals for about $1 a meal, which is very cost efficient. And in an environment like a jail, food becomes a very important thing for the people inside. And so mealtime and serving wholesome and appetizing food becomes an important mechanism for keeping people happy as well as control of the institution.
While confined in the county's corrections facilities, inmates in good standing can make outgoing phone calls for a fee paid for from the inmates' personal accounts. The inmate phone call system is provided by Securus Technologies, a Dallas-based company which provides the inmate phone system and the public pay phones. Inmates cannot receive incoming calls, but they can make outgoing calls. They can place the phone call money in their commissary account, or their friends and families can create a prepaid account directly with Securus. The county receives a portion of the phone charges, which is a revenue stream for the corrections budget or the commissary fund, which provides services used by the inmates. The County Council recently approved a one-year contract with Securus in which the county will receive $678,000 in revenue. The cost is paid by inmates to make phone calls as regulated by the Federal Communications Commission. Driving during severe weather, high temperatures and daily thunderstorms are a norm to Florida summers, not to mention the threat of hurricanes. But we also know that Mother Nature can be pretty unpredictable. Are you prepared for severe weather when you're on the road? For example, do you know what to do if you come into an intersection and the traffic light isn't working?
If you do happen to find yourself in a situation where you're driving down the road and some severe weather has just passed through that have knocked traffic lights out, you need to, of course, treat any of those traffic intersections as a four-way stop if those traffic lights are out.
What supplies should always be in your vehicle?
One of the things we want everyone to do is to have a plan and to have a kit. We want you to know if you're in an evacuation zone for a hurricane, and that way you'll know what kind of a kit you're going to need to bring with you.
Here are more safety issues when driving during or after severe weather. Keep away from flooded and debris-laden areas. Oftentimes, hidden downed lines are present and pose an additional threat that you may be unaware of. If you come to an area that is covered with water, you will not know the depth of the water or the condition of the ground under that water. Anytime you come to a flooded road, turn around, don't drown. Never drive over a down power line or under a low-hanging line. Beware of down lines touching a vehicle. Stay away from the vehicle and the line. If a power line hits your car while you're inside, stay put. Dial 911 and wait for help. And finally, avoid driving in damaged areas using detours when possible. Driving through damaged areas may interfere with rescue or recovery efforts, as well as it can jeopardize your own safety. To stay informed about severe weather and possible hazards, you can visit volusia.org. Volusia County's Coastal Division continues to expand the Green Volusia Initiative. Starting now through the month of September, Volusia County Coastline will see new recycling and trash containers as part of the Coastal Division's recycling enhancements. 400 sets of new trash and recycling containers will be distributed throughout the county coastlines and coastal parks in an effort to enhance the current beach recycling program. The new containers are bright blue for trash and vibrant yellow for recycling. Volusia County's Coastal Division Activity Manager Margaret Hodge said the enhancements also come with an element of education for the public.
We're going to have new labels on the containers, mainly because our visitors are so diverse, and we found that they recycle differently from around the world and even from around the United States. On the beach, we want to recycle only plastic bottles and aluminum cans because of the combination of materials down there that tend to be soiled or sandy. We're going to stick to those two products. The beach gives us an opportunity to share a worldwide cause to improve the environment, and Volusia County is doing their part.
To learn more about the beach recycling program and other Coastal Division efforts, you can go to volusia.org/coastal.
This is sea turtle nesting season. Sea turtles typically use the beach at night, so never shine lights on sea turtles' nests, hatchlings, or adult turtles. Ensure lights are not visible from the beach. While enjoying your night walk, use a red LED bulb or a red filtered light. Bright artificial lights can deter turtles from nesting or lead them away from the water. The beach belongs to everyone, including our sea turtles. Thank you for making it a safer place for everyone to enjoy.
When it comes to small business expansion, one local business service is really cleaning up. Joanne Magley has the story of First Response Disaster Team in this week's Business Beat.
Most people will never experience a home flood or fire, but it can happen, and when this type of disaster strikes, an Edgewater business is ready to help. Husband and wife Ken and Anne Marie Poulin own and operate First Response Disaster Team.
First Response, this is Anne Marie.
A certified general contractor focusing primarily on emergency restoration.
So that when that flood occurs, we go in and dry that property out. We dry the carpet, sometimes the cavities of the walls. Drywall gets wet, it has to dry. Or we have a mold problem, which goes into another part of what we do. We do mold remediation. It's probably 65–70% of our business here in Florida.
And it's not just natural disasters. Broken water lines from toilets, refrigerators, even hot water heaters account for the majority of emergency calls. The Poulins started the business in 2010. In 2012, they became clients at the Volusia County Business Incubator, which is funded by the county's Economic Development Division and managed by the award-winning UCF Business Incubation Program.
Actually, it's an interesting story because we have an invention that we made. My wife's brainstorm and I put it together. So we were talking to Connie Burnell about our invention, and she started talking about our business, and she's like, I really like your business. Let's talk about that. And then she had us enroll in classes, and we went to the classes, and we thought that the incubator would be a very good fit for our business, and it is.
Before starting First Response, Ken was working as a general contractor building and renovating properties. Then his family experienced a home disaster.
We had a flood at our house, and the insurance company called in a competitor, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. We've owned several businesses. I saw the model that was there and the money that was created from that flood and thought, wow, that's a pretty good model.
Ken says as the housing market and economy slowed, he and Anne-Marie decided to venture into the disaster restoration business. They both went to school, and Ken became a master restorer with the Institute of Inspection, Cleaning, and Restoration certification. They are both licensed mold remediators.
That means, and that basically entails many schools and understanding many different circumstances that we can be in, as carpet cleaning or drywall repair, all the stuff that we do. So we enjoy the residential side of it. We get there, people are upset. Our job is to calm them down, make them understand what's going on, help them through the process. We've done things like take pets and hold them, and we do anything we can for our customer.
When they joined the incubator in 2012, they had 2 employees and were operating out of their home. Now, the family-run business has 9 employees and operates out of a 5,500 square foot facility. Anne-Marie credits much of the growth to getting business training at the incubator.
A lot of the marketing ideas that Connie helped us with, as far as reaching out to the people, to our audience, the people who would need us, different neighborhoods, thinking like a person who might have a flood. Well, Anne-Marie, how would you reach me if I had a flood? How will I know that you're there? That was one of the biggest things that Connie really helped us with.
She says business planning was also a big help.
We tend to think just today, where Connie helped us to project out in the next year, 2 years, 5 years, where do we plan to be? You don't plan to fail, you fail to plan.
In 2014, the company's business grew by 60% and is on track to grow 30 to 50% for the next 2 to 3 years at the Edgewater location. Plans are also in the works for the company to build more locations in Florida in the next 2 to 3 years. The success of First Response Disaster Team is paying off in more than just profits. The company was named the Incubator's 2014 Entrepreneur of the Year.
It really validates all of our efforts. We work hard. My wife and I, probably 60 to 80 hours a week. It validates that our dream is, it's real. I mean, it's a lucrative. We employ 9 people that, provide for their families, so we're doing it.
For the Business Beat, I'm Joanne Magley.
During the sweltering Florida summers, it's really important to remember to beat the heat and stay cool, especially if you work outside all day like construction workers. Health reporter Stephanie Strong brings us more in this segment of Volusia Health Matters.
Florida is known for its hot, sunny days. The Florida Department of Health in Volusia County encourages residents and tourists to take the proper precautions to prevent heat-related illnesses during the summer, especially for employees who work outdoors.
In Florida, we really are subject to not only the heat, but also the humidity. And the heat can be bad enough on your body, humidity as well, but we have both heat and humidity.
Extremely hot weather can cause sickness and even death. You can become ill from the heat if your body can't compensate for it and properly cool off.
And when it's very hot and very humid, it's difficult to sweat and cool down. So it's very important to avoid the heat by being out physically active in the early part of the day or the end of the day, and seek out shade and dress with loose, light clothing, as well as drink lots of fluids, such as water, not salty fluid, not sugary fluid, not alcohol, just simple water.
Muscle cramping might be the first sign of heat-related illness and may lead to heat exhaustion or stroke. Here is how you can recognize heat exhaustion and heat stroke and ways to prevent it. Heavy sweating, weakness, cold, pale, and clammy skin, fast, weak pulse, nausea or vomiting, and fainting. What you can do to prevent heat exhaustion: stay in an air-conditioned indoor location, drink plenty of fluids, wear loose, lightweight, light-colored clothing and sunscreen, pace yourself, take cool showers or baths to cool down, check on elderly friends or neighbors, and do not leave children in hot cars. It is important for people to know that the very young and the elderly are at the highest risk for developing a heat-related illness. However, anyone can develop a heat-related illness with enough exposure to the heat. For more information, please visit cdc.gov. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Stephanie Strong, Public Information Officer for the Florida Department of Health in Volusia County.
For more information about this and other health-related issues, you can log on to volusiahealth.com. Well, let's head into the studio to join Community Information Director Dave Byron as he sits down with his guest, Steve Cook, the Business Development Manager at Daytona Beach International Airport.
Well, thanks, Amber, and hello, everyone. You know, passenger traffic at Daytona Beach International Airport is on a steady upward climb. And with the new development projects on the horizon in the area, airport administrators hope the case is being made for expanded air service at our airport. So today we'll catch up on what's going on at Daytona Beach International. Our guest in the studio is Steve Cook. He's the Business Development Manager at Daytona Beach International Airport. Steve, nice to have you with us.
Nice to be here, Dave.
Haven't talked with you for a while.
No.
So before we get into the local picture, let's start with the national landscape. You know, we've had the major airlines seem to be merging with one another. I think you're down to what, about 4 major carriers?
We're really down to about 4 with the consolidations, and so we've seen fares rise in the last couple of years.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, what does this mean for the traveler, you know?
Well, it's really like the rising of the tide across the entire country, so it's not isolated in one spot. I mean, Orlando, Daytona, all our region, we've seen fares rise somewhat. But relatively, our fares are really close, more close than they have been to some of our alternate airports. So in our case, we think it's doing us some good, you know, with this consolidation. And we think that trend is going to continue for this year, next year, and into the future.
Of course, you know, the economy in the United States is certainly coming back, back here in the state of Florida. My understanding is air travel in general is up, so that's a good thing.
It's up, and people are flying. The economy is doing much better. Certainly our region, we have a lot of things going on,
right?
You know, that reflect that uptick, and all of this is really coming together to help the airport. So, you know, 2014 is going to be a great year for us, and we're looking forward to the final numbers.
The state of Florida, I think, Steve, is trying to shoot for 100 million visitors this year.
Yes.
I mean, tourism is really doing well in the state of Florida. I've got to think that bodes well for all the airports in the state of Florida.
Well, you can see it by the numbers. If you go down and look at the CVB data down along Daytona Beach and New Smyrna Beach and West Volusia, you see that the occupancy rates have come up.
Right.
The average room rates have come up more so than in several years past. So it's a better environment, tourism environment, and that helps us all.
You know, we've talked about this steady trend that the airport is on in terms of total passengers. And I mean, every month it seems like you're up 2, 3, 4, 5%.
It is. We've had about, take the last 53 months or so, we've had 48 of those months have been uptick.
Right.
You know, and a couple of them, it really had nothing to do with the market at all, because we had those storms in Atlanta, you'll recall, in January, February.
Right.
And they caused us to lose flights, so our traffic went down for those months. But there's probably 3 genuine months where we've had a downtick in that period of time. So it's been a pretty steady trend. And this past month, July, we were up 9%. That was actually more than we had expected.
Wow.
And you know, we had a 93% load factor,
you
know, of our airlines. So all that really was very welcome news.
Well, 93% load factor, Steve, I've learned from talking with you, I mean, that's at capacity.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
So, I mean, at a certain point, you would have to think that the airlines are going to either add more seats with bigger aircrafts or run more flights or something.
Yeah, we've seen some seats added in the last few months, but not enough. We're actually going to be visiting with Delta Airlines on late September, and we're going to be talking about that very subject, because we need really more frequency, larger aircraft.
Right.
We're still in that mode where we need that to meet the demand that we have.
Right.
We're also going to be talking about some nonstop opportunities for Delta and things that we think they could do to improve their situation here and help the community. So we're looking forward to that.
The numbers, Steve, you know, we were talking before we started on air here today, and we were talking about the fact that you're thinking you're going to be looking at 650,000
yeah,
passengers.
I mean, that's where we're headed now. This July, we were at 627,000 passengers, total passengers. And I think we're going to be about 640, you know, when we get to the end of the year. That's the trend. I mean, if you project the numbers out, that's where we're going to go. And, you know, if you look at the last 15 years, just with July numbers, there's only 2 of those years that we've had more. in the last 15 years. And we think when we get to the end of the year, there'll only be one where we've actually had more traffic in the last 15 years. Now you can go back further than that and you find more traffic, but 15 years is a long time. So I think in the current era, the modern era, we're doing pretty well.
I know you've got JetBlue Airlines on your speed dial on your phone. And the whole community has made a very aggressive pitch for JetBlue. We keep waiting and hoping. Any news to report there?
Well, we did meet with JetBlue again in June. We're going to meet with them again next month in New York City. And we have a great story to tell. We're going to keep telling it. New York is our #1 nonstop market. It could be for Delta, and we've talked to Delta as well about that. It could be for U.S. Airways. But we think JetBlue would make a very nice fit for this community. We've put a great incentive package on the table for JetBlue. We're going to take them through that incentive package all over again. We've got a travel bank where 30 businesses in the Volusia County area have really come together and said, we will put $250,000 in a travel bank and we'll prepay tickets for a full year, use it or lose it for a full year, and we've all put that on the table for JetBlue, as well as about $400,000 in marketing funds for New York City. So it's an aggressive incentive program. We think it reflects the fact that they're going to do very well here if they make that decision, and we hope we're going to see our good news carried forward to the fact that they make a decision to serve this community.
And American Airlines, it's another one that you've had on the radar screen.
I met with them in June as well, and we would like to see them consider Dallas and possibly Miami. Dallas, because the connections out of Dallas are different than the ones out of Charlotte. And so they could actually serve both cities very successfully out of Daytona Beach. Possibly add Miami later on. Miami is a huge American hub. They go to Europe, they go to Latin America, they go to the Caribbean. Americans served this community back in the 1990s, but the American hub in Miami is no comparison to what it was then. It's huge right now. And could be a great benefit for tourism for our community.
Well, along those lines, Steve, we have a growing Hispanic population in Volusia County, and of course, I think American has good connections to Latin America, and I would think that would have to be a sales point as well.
It would. We do have a lot of Hispanic clientele. We actually are going to change the signage and the PA system to go English, Spanish in the near future. We're working on that now. And we're very, very interested in that market. American goes to San Juan. They go to Latin America. It provides a new method of getting tourists to this community from those areas. So we think there's a lot of upside with American, particularly if they serve the Miami market.
The airport has made the development of some of your vacant acreage one of your priorities. Because of an economic development aspect to it. Of course, a lot of those enterprises have an aviation flavor to them, but not always. What's the story? What are you trying to do with your land out there?
Well, we've identified about 470 acres that we think could be developed or redeveloped. A lot of it on the south side of the airport. And what we want to do is we're right now engaged in a strategic development planning process where we're going to actually look at the highest and best use of those acres, really for the purposes of keeping the airport self-sustaining. We are an enterprise fund, and we don't rely on Volusia County taxpayers for the income that runs the airport. And so we want to basically diversify and enhance those sources of income, but also create economic development and employment centers for Volusia County. So it's a combination of things that's all positive for the community.
Steve, one of the high-profile pieces of property that you have at the airport is where the Olive Garden restaurant used to be across from the Volusia Mall. That property is vacant because Olive Garden went across the street. So what's going to happen with that property?
Well, we're right now engaged in negotiating with a Hooligans restaurant, which is a local restaurant there in Port Orange and some other places. We think they'd make a nice addition. We don't have an agreement yet with Hooligans, but we're very optimistic that we will reach an agreement and be able to bring that to council very, very soon. So we think they'd be a nice addition. They'd be right next to the Outback Steakhouse, which has done very well. That's a deal we have on our property. So we're hopeful that we're going to reach an accord and be able to bring that before County Council very soon.
Yeah, I wanted to point out, Steve, and that's the reason why I asked you the question. Those enterprises that are so well known to the public, the as you say, the restaurant locations, the hotels behind it, so forth, some of those other, you got a bank. Those are all tenants of the airport.
They are. We have 4 hotels,
Right.
you know, on the property. The bank is on the property. The Regions Bank was a different bank, but now is Regions Bank, and they all contribute to our bottom line and basically keep the airport off the tax rolls. So we're interested, very much interested in encouraging those kinds of deals on the airport, so we can remain self-sustaining and, you know, provide the aviation services that our community needs.
Well, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Daytona Beach International Speedway is technically on airport property.
Yes, I mean, the Speedway actually occupies about 374 acres of airport property. That's not the entire Speedway, but that is the largest chunk of the Speedway.
You know, Steve, you mentioned, and I think it was good to point out, that although Daytona Beach International Airport is a service of Volusia County government and part of the county government budget, you don't get local tax dollars. You operate as a business out there.
We are an enterprise fund, and we're very sensitive to the things a business would be sensitive to. We try to watch our costs, watch our expenses, and basically encourage revenue development so we can continue to be self-sustaining. And we've been able to do that for years and years and years. And our goal is certainly to keep that moving forward into the future and provide the aviation services that we all need and is going to be a benefit long term.
Well, Steve, for those folks that want to get more information about Daytona Beach International Airport, maybe want to check the fares because the fares are very competitive, how do people get more information?
Well, just go to flydaytonafirst.com or check our Facebook page.
All right. Well, Steve, the next time we have you with us, we're hoping you're going to tell us that you're going to be bringing some new airlines.
I hope I am too, Dave.
Our guest today,
looking forward to it.
Our guest today, Steve Cook. He's the Business Development Director at Daytona Beach International Airport. And with that, Amber, we'll go back to you.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you too for watching Volusia Magazine. If you have any questions about the show, you can feel free to give us a call at any of the numbers you see listed here, or you can log on to volusia.org and click on the News tab at the top of the screen to find us. Incidentally, you can find the County Council's meeting calendar there too. In fact, you can use volusia.org to find out about meeting dates, workshops, topics of interest, activities, and how you can become involved. And we hope you won't forget to listen to Volusia Today. That's Volusia County Government's weekly public radio broadcast. Volusia Today airs every Tuesday and Sunday mornings on the local radio stations you see on your screen. For Volusia Magazine, I'm Amber Patterson, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.